again on many things. Baylor. Mack Rhoades, Baylor Director of Athletics, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Robert Griffin said, Dave Aranda's a little different. He is a whisperer, and then he said maybe even a Jedi.
I like the Jedi description. So I think that suits him well.
You win a game against Iowa State. It's a great win for Coach Aranda, the program, the university, and everything else athletics. And all I have seen, it seems like to me, are people upset with everything game day atmosphere. Are you getting that same vibe and feedback?
I have not. I've not seen that. Smoak, so I would love for you to maybe share that with me, but no, I have not seen that. Now, I've gotten a couple comments, emails, people disappointed with student attendance, but that's been the essence of what I've heard.
Okay, did you guys cut back the Baylor line for any particular reason? Is it are less freshmen allowed to be in a certain place, and is the berm only, or has it only been reserved for students, freshman students or students this year?
Yeah, so great questions. We had just over 9,400 students for the Texas Southern, and then about 8,600 again tickets claimed for the Iowa State game because of the large freshman class, and I think everybody's aware of the large freshman class. 4,100, largest history of Baylor. We worked with Student Life and to allocate the berm for students, and again, I thought the Texas Southern game, the student seats were filled, the berm was full. I don't remember exactly how full it looked, but then against Iowa State, not very many, and so. We're going to continue to work with Student Life. I think for what we would call premium games, we'll keep the ability to reserve that for the students. But then some of the other games, we've worked with Student Life to release that back, and we'll be able to sell into that for general public. 2019, and this gives you some context, right? 2019, we had an average of almost 8,800 students per game. So I think some of the time of the game, the time of year, the heat, I was told that, the concourse was pretty full on that east side. People trying to just stay out of the sun. So, and again, I wasn't there to walk through the concourse, but understood that, there were certainly some students amongst, those that were in the concourse and not out in the sun, but it's a work in progress. It's something that, we're going to continue to work at. As you know, I believe students make such a huge difference in terms of energy within a venue, and we're going to continue to work at it and try to do the best we can where every student seat is filled.
You want me to read one of these emails? It's not offensive or anything. You want me to just read it to you?
Sure.
Smokey, do you think there's a politically safe way for you to ask or suggest to Mack that you've heard from many season ticket holders that they would like to see the game day experience enhanced significantly, and if he seems open to it, that we would be happy to make a categorized list of suggestions and ideas for them to consider? It seems to be, he said it's not a very good experience considering how high level we want our brand to be.
Yeah, and again, I'm certainly I don't think you grow and get better unless you're willing to listen. I I have no idea what that means. It's pretty general. Are there specific things? So
yeah.
willing to, me and my team are willing to hear and listen if there are specific items, areas that are missing and or could be improved.
And again, I'm in the press box, so I don't notice this, but this is some feedback. Our game day operations this year have been absolutely terrible. Video production, music has already been talked about at length. Music volume makes it seem like they don't want to wake up the babies. Mac talks about wanting big-time environment, but literally it seems like we're discouraging students from going to the game. And you discussed that part as well. You're not trying to do that. That's just somebody's opinion. Here, I'll give you my point. I'm not a fan. I don't go to the games as a fan. But it seems like there's always something, and I know that you've been frustrated with that as well, that sometimes no matter what, there's always a complaint. The games are too early. You have no idea. You don't set that. You're in the sun, whatever. You don't set that. You have to walk an extra 100 yards. Some of those things to me are petty, but it just seemed like today, for some reason, or this weekend, I got more of this about the music and the line and the berm and the students and all that, and I just wanted to make sure I directed it your way.
Well, I'm grateful that you, and I mean that sincerely. I'm grateful that you did, and it's a conversation we'll continue to have, and where I'm trying to, just balance. I don't know that we made any changes from, 2019 when you think about decreasing volume or the music or the video. But, again, we always want to get better and certainly open to suggestions. I worked with a men's basketball coach years ago and said, to the media in a post-game press conference, I love suggestions, but they do me no good after the game. So
I get that. Yeah.
So absolutely willing to, and I appreciate you sharing that with me.
Well, I felt like I can, because we can kind of be someone that's like their, information to you.
And to your point, where we were was fine. We were in the press box, we were good, but you couldn't help but look over at the visitor side and see how empty it was. But like you said, there was people apparently in the concourse because it was hot or whatever like that. But it did seem like there was just an awful lot of complaints this week, and I don't know what that boils down to. It's just kind of crazy.
Mac, how do you feel that the transition in the tailgate area has been? I know that it's a little bit less people this year with the tailgate guys and all that, and how do you seek to maybe grow that area back to where it was a couple years ago?
Yeah, I mean, again, you're trying to measure, 25% capacity last year and no tailgating. How would this year be different if you had full tailgating last year? So there was this continuation of experience and, 6 home games last year and well, we didn't play 6 last year, but the home game schedule and then, how that builds into this year. And so I think, trying to measure that, I think, there's probably some mixed opinion. Most of what I've heard has been extremely positive, in terms of how clean it looks, the service provided. People seem to be enjoying it. Obviously, we want to continue to grow it. I'm not saying there hasn't been any complaints. I think there's been, at least that I'm aware of, a handful, maybe quality of tents. And it feels like, or from what I know and understand, all of those have been addressed immediately. So again, it's a process of continuing to get better and to grow that area.
Baylor Director of Athletics Mack Rhoades with us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Here's a positive. Whoever was guarding the berm the guy tried to bribe her $100 to let 2 kids and his wife get in the berm, and she said no. So you have integrity with whoever's guarding the berm. Oh my God!
Just glad you're getting these emails and I'm not.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
Well, I mean, again, so people know how to get a hold of you. If they do, I'll give them your email address at any moment here. No, I'm kidding about that. I just think it's good that we can pass it along. Now, when you have
got a staff that helps me with email, and it's still impossible to keep up with everything. So
I imagine.
So
go ahead,
Mac. For people out there who are listening, and clearly there were a lot of people that emailed Smokey, and I saw comments, on Sikkim 365 or on social media or whatever. What you just said, like you're willing to listen. So what would you suggest for those people who want to, go out publicly and complain about something? What is the best course of action for them to take to see that perhaps changes are at least considered or introduced?
Yeah, Craig, that's a great question, and I don't know that I have a wonderful answer for you today, but let me have some conversation with staff and we'll figure out maybe the best way to collect whether it's complaints, suggestions, maybe there's a better way of doing that than our fans, just randomly emailing you all. So let me have that conversation.
Yeah, it's not urgent it is because fan base matter. A lot of these are season ticket holders and donors and all that as well. Was the replay system not working at times on Saturday?
I would tell you this. If it wasn't, that's news to me. I was not made aware of that the replay system was not working.
Okay, I just was asking about the 2-point conversion when Iowa State. You intercepted the pass anyway, but it just seemed to me that Purdy's, and this is not an anti-Iowa State thing. It could have been Gary Bohannon's fumble. It could have been a lot of things, but it just seemed like that the Big 12 is known for reviewing a 3rd and 4. And a guy picks up 6.
5 minutes into the game.
Yeah, and it takes, and that's true. And so I was really almost like, wow, they're not going to stop the game for this. When, of course, that was at the end of the game when the game was on the line. I was just curious about that. But you might have had, at that point, you might have been like underneath the tarp or something like that at that point of the game.
Oh, I was very much aware of the knee possibly hitting the turf, and I probably let a few people around me know that I was very much and we'll leave it at that. Mm-hmm. And I have no further comments on officiating.
Mac, a non-officiating scheduling question for you. I saw Texas Tech and Arkansas announced a partnership for 2030 and 2031, and I get that you have to schedule well in advance, but with the conference expanding and things being in flux, is it reasonable to, I know you're going to keep the SEC opponent on your schedule of your Texas Tech, but having all the things that are going to change in the schedule that you guys haven't even completely worked out yet, I'm sure, is it feasible to do that right now for schools to schedule stuff 10 years down the line?
Yeah, and I'm not saying anything in terms of Texas Tech and Arkansas and the decision to do that. It's, that's a conversation and probably a game they've been working on, for months, and who knows, they may, last minute have added some contractual language saying dependent upon, future conference schedule. But, right now it's anybody's guess, with the 10 teams, we play everyone. So it's 9 conference games. When we get to a place, where we've got 14, what does that look like in terms of how many conference games we play? And then, when we get to a place where it's 12, so I think it's really, really hard to predict. And, here's what I do know, or I certainly, if I was having to project, future TV, TV partners are looking for compelling matchups, and so probably the more conference games, assuming you've got a healthy conference and you've got some really good teams within your conference, the more conference games that you can play in the future are probably going to be better for you. So, long answer, but it's going to be interesting to see where we land and the conversations we have about the number of conference games here in the future.
Mac, your head football coach is celebrating a birthday today. I believe Dave Aranda turning 45 today, but celebrated a big win on Saturday. I mean, for all the ugliness of that game at times and just the momentum switches and everything like that, what a big win for your football program. How did that feel on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, candidly, it obviously felt great. That's a really good football team. Iowa State, really well coached, physical. They're going to play hard every play, and to be able to kind of withstand and I don't know that we, I don't think it's breaking news when I say that I'm not sure we played a very clean game. To be able to still win, despite some of our, some of the challenges that we created for ourselves. By the way, I was about ready to, well, I won't say, but when we had to do an onside kick twice, was not fired up about that. But it was a big win. It was a big win, and there's still so much opportunity for us to get better, and that's what I appreciate, about Coach Aranda. He knows that, and I'm telling you, he woke up Sunday morning and it was all about how do we get better. So I was fired up for him and for our kids.
Let me ask you a question. What is more of a heartburn? Worrying about how the Big 12 is going to survive, or the onside kick that Treston Ebner recovered?
Tie goes to the runner.
Right.
Well, Ebner was the runner, so he's safe because that's the way the rules go. Yeah, that was interesting. Mac, there was a story today. Dan Lust is a sports attorney, and Darren Heichner is a sports attorney. We covered a lot of what they do. They're good at what they're doing. But there was a story about the National Labor Relations Board issued a memo that's trying to move student athletes closer to becoming employees, which could bring up unionization.
Eliminate the term student athlete.
Student athletes, which you use a lot, and I have always used because that's what it was at one point, still should be. But it seems like this thing's going down the track with yet another thing that's going in the direction of student athletes. That's fine, but any concerns about what this does to college athletics if this happens?
Yeah, I think because it just happened today, still haven't had an opportunity to wrap my arms around it completely. But certainly, a couple things to keep in mind, that this was an opinion of the NLRB's general counsel. So just an opinion. It takes a decision, from the NLRB to actually put this in place. Now, this may be a precursor for that to happen, and it feels like this idea of student athletes or athletes at an academic institution, students who are athletes at an academic institution, since they don't like the terminology student athlete. It almost feels like they're trying to find a separate labor class for our student athletes, that this idea of being employees is to provide them some rights, whether it's collective bargaining. You mentioned some, right? But I just don't know. I worry about the unintended consequences of all of this. And again, I'm not an attorney, and I've had 5 minutes to really think about it today. But if they truly become employees, are they now every benefit that we provide a student athlete, are they going to be taxed on it? Are they going to be taxed on the value of their scholarship? And so I just think we got to be really careful as we walk down this path. And you mentioned it there on the end. These last, let's call it 18 months, 2 years. It just feels like, and it feels like it because it is. There's more change in college athletics than there's been in like the last 15 years, and this may be another one that we're going to have to deal with as an industry.
I know Dr. Livingstone's going to be in Congress tomorrow in Washington, D.C., a part of the NIL. She's also a part of that board of governors. She's a part of a lot of things right now. How much to have Baylor at that table? What does that mean?
Yeah, I think it certainly speaks to the respect for Baylor. And again, we talked about this several shows ago, but I think you were asking about the Big 12 and their perspective on Baylor. Well, I think you can answer that by saying, she was the Big 12's, selection, the presidential selection to be on the board of governors or to represent the Big 12 for the NCAA board of governors. I think that's huge. The committees she's been able to serve on, I've been able to serve on, and so I think that speaks well for Baylor.
Mac, I asked you about Nikki Collins' Texas tour that she was going to be embarking on. I know that for the women's team, practices started today, first day of practice. What have you kind of been able to glean, if anything, or how have you kind of viewed the ability for her to go around? I know you're excited about that opportunity, but seeing her actually be able to go out and do it, what have been your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the response has been overwhelmingly positive, which has been really, really cool to see. I was in Dallas yesterday for the luncheon that where both Nikki and Scott were there together. It was great to see them both, for them to be together again. Just received overwhelming positive comments about Nikki individually, obviously Scott individually, and then both being there together. So, she's obviously hit the ground running, and I know that she's excited for official first practice today, and I look forward to seeing her continue to put her stamp on the program, and so far I think she's done a truly an amazing job.
Tongue in cheek, when I ask you this, I know you got to go. We appreciate it. Boise State, according to reports, has turned down an offer from the AAC. Did Jeremiah text you before they said no?
No comment.
Hey, I'm gonna tell everyone if they want to send some things to me, I can pass them on to you. I appreciate it, Mac. I know that some of that is you didn't. I know I do know that the tailgating thing seems to be a concern as much as maybe anything else. But we'll try to get stuff to you, and I know you guys can do whatever you can do.
Yeah, I mean, we want to be good listeners, and not saying that we can, everybody's suggestion that we can incorporate, that we can change everything. There's obviously a lot of moving pieces to all of this, but we certainly want to be attentive and good listeners.
Thank you, Mac. Appreciate your time. Mack Rhoades, Director of Athletics, Baylor, coming off the huge win against Iowa State.